Hey everyone, Brittany here. Today we're going to talk quickly about setting goals and deciding how to achieve them. Okay, it's going to be a super quick video today because I'm just popping on real quick. Time crunch, right? Crack of time. I have a crack of time, so I figured I'd come on. All right, so setting goals and deciding how to achieve them. So at this point, it's January 5th, right? At this point, a lot of people have set their goals, right? Some people don't even set goals, and I totally get that. That was me. And for me, a lot of it came down to like feeling like it was one more thing on my plate. And then also, I didn't realize this at the time, but there was a lot of fear, right? Like, why even set goals? Because I'm not going to achieve them. And then I'm going to get hard on myself and down on myself and all of the things, right? So if you're like, that's a whole other subject, right? That I think I talked about in my last video. And if not, I actually talk about it in my 5 days to fall back in love with goal setting in my community. So if you're like, yeah, that's me, I don't like setting goals, feel free to check that out because it kind of gives a new perspective on what goals can do for us. But today we're talking about like, okay, now my goals are set. How am I going to actually achieve them? Right? Because for me, goal setting kind of went in stages. First, I was like, I don't even want to do this. It's just one more thing on my plate. They're stupid, right? I thought they were stupid. Um, I'm not even going to bother, right? Then I started setting goals, but I was a set and forget. And if I'm not mindful about my goals, I can still fall into this trap. Okay. So I'm sharing it with you because this used to be me and is me sometimes of setting goals and then just like not even looking at them again until like sometimes it's like I'm flipping through an old notebook. Do you guys ever do that? Like write stuff down and then like you just see your notebooks around and then you flip through them and then it's like, oh yeah, those were my goals, right? So one way to avoid the set and forget, like I know that write them down, stick them on sticky notes where you can see them, like in your office or wherever, writing them in a notebook, writing them down every day. But a lot of times what we forget to do is make the decision or plan out how we are actually going to achieve them, right? Like, what do we need to do to actually achieve this? And this is where I find that we get stuck in overwhelm and procrastination because we have our goal, but then we're like, what do I do next? Right? So that's what we're going to talk about. Okay. So deciding how to achieve them, focusing on like, what is your game plan? And for me, one of the things I like to do is actually write out everything that is involved to the smallest detail, right? Like if I'm creating something like a lesson plan or something like that, I'm like, okay, what is everything that needs to happen? The smallest detail. And then also, sorry, you guys are traveling around with me. Forgot to shut my door. Also, so what is it that you actually have to do to achieve that, right? Like, what are the numbers? What are the daily actions? What are things you need to be aware of? What are pitfalls? Like, where's that built-in flexibility, right? So And then, so like if you are trying to pay off debt or you're trying to bring in more money, right? How much money will that look like, right? Or how much money will you need on a day to day basis, right? But then also being flexible that you're like, if I need to save or put this amount of money every single day, knowing that, hey, it might not happen, right? Like you have days off of work, right? Things like that. Or certain expenses come up. So you're like, okay, well, maybe I can't put away $5 every single day. Maybe it's $5 5 days a week, right? And also thinking about, like in the debt example, yes, you can budget and limit your expenses, right? But also know that if you leave no leeway for yourself, no flexibility, then it's not going to be sustainable. And if you're already like, things are tight right now, then you're achieving your goal. You probably realize that you're going to be needing to bring more money in, not just tightening the money you already have, right? Um, and then once you have your game plan with your action steps, what you need to do, and your like wiggle room, your flexibility built in, one thing that I have found with myself is um, like frequency over duration. And what that means to me is like how often is more important to me than for how long. So for me, it's easier to do something in small chunks for multiple days than to do something in a longer chunk, less days, right? So that's why I say frequency over duration, how often over how long. And a great example of this is one year, my resolution or one of my goals was like, I'm going to start doing yoga for 45 minutes, 3 days a week. I didn't even have kids then. And it was like, okay, first of all, 45 minutes is too long for me to feel like I can get that done. I feel like I don't have enough time to do that. And it just slowly started getting lower and lower and lower on my priorities list, right? The second thing is only doing it 3 days a week. What I found was I kept, well, I only have to do it 3 days a week, so I'll do it tomorrow, right? I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. And then I get to like, oh, I only have like 3 days this week and I didn't do them. Well, I'll just do 2 days this week and count one day for my day next week, right? So, but what I found did work is if I said 10 minutes, 5 days a week. And this has been like going on for quite a couple years now that I've been able to consistently do yoga for 10 minutes. It's actually more like 15 or 20 now, but I started with 10 because two things happen. One, it didn't feel like a long time. Like my brain was like, you can do something for 10 minutes, Brittany, even if you don't want to, right? Like 10 minutes goes by like that. And the second thing was do it 5 days a week. So that was enough to say, like, basically do it every day. I started with do it every day and then I cut down to 5 days a week because there are days when it was like I couldn't wake up earlier than my kids, like those random days where they wake up. The 45 minutes was before I had kids, and then it wasn't until like 5 years later that I was like, okay, I'm going to start trying this again. But 45 minutes, 3 days a week doesn't work, right? For me. So I did 10 minutes, 5 days a week. And the reason I did 5 days a week, again, just to have that wiggle room of a couple days. But I also said you can do it for 10 minutes. And if you don't do it, like, what if tomorrow's the day that you can't get it done? So just do it today. And that was kind of my workaround for my brain. It was like, just do it today, because what if, like, you say you're not going to do it today and you'll do it tomorrow, but then what if tomorrow happens and you don't get around to doing it? So just do it today, right? And so a lot of times I do end up doing it 7 days a week, even though my flexibility, my wiggle room is 5 days. So Yeah. I mean, that's after we set our goals, that's the next step, right? How are we going to actually achieve this goal? Is it that I can tighten my spending, right? To have a little extra to maybe pay off debt? Or maybe it's I need to bring in more money. And how am I going to bring in more money? Right? Is it I'm going to get a side hustle or second job or, babysit on the side once a week, something like that. And then also just think about frequency over duration, right? What are things that you can do in small chunks more often than trying to get like a longer time, right? Or less, right? Is it easier to put away $10, once a week or $5 every day or, versus trying to gather, $100 once a month, right? Something like that. All right. Um, that is it for me today. I would still love to hear your guys' goals and your action plans. Share them with me if you would like. Right? That builds accountability. And you guys have the best day, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.